What if I told you that one single employee at Macy's managed to hide $154 million for nearly 3 years? And nobody noticed? Not the auditors, not the managers, not even the sophisticated accounting systems that cost millions to implement. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how they pulled this off, why it took so long to discover, and most importantly, what this means for your money and investments. But first, let me ask you this. How many of you have money invested in retail stocks? Comment yes if you do, because what I'm about to reveal will change how you look at corporate financial statements forever. I've been analyzing corporate financial scandals for years. Just last month, I predicted several major market moves, and today I'm breaking down the most shocking accounting cover-up of 2020. Here's what happened. On November 25th, 2024, Macy's, yes, the department store where your mom probably bought your school clothes, was forced to delay their quarterly earnings announcement. Why? Because they discovered something that shook the entire retail industry to its core. But before I reveal the shocking method this employee used, let me paint you a picture that will blow your mind. Picture this. You're working at one of America's most iconic retailers, Macy's. Every day, thousands of packages are being delivered to stores across the country. The delivery costs are enormous. We're talking about $4.36 billion in total delivery expenses over the period we're discussing. Now imagine you're the employee responsible for tracking these small package delivery expenses. Sounds boring, right? Wrong. This boring job was about to become the gateway to the biggest single employee financial cover-up in retail history. And here's the kicker. This wasn't about stealing money. The employee didn't pocket a single dollar. So what were they hiding? And more importantly, how did they hide $154 million from some of the most sophisticated financial systems in the world? The method they used is so simple, yet so brilliant, that it exposes a terrifying flaw in how all major corporations handle their finances. But first, let me tell you about the moment everything unraveled. It all started to fall apart in late 2024 when Macy's was preparing their third quarter earnings report. Someone noticed something didn't add up in the delivery expense numbers. What they found next left executives speechless. Here's exactly what happened. Starting from the fourth quarter of 2021, this employee had been making what Macy's calls erroneous accounting accrual entries. But let me break this down in plain English, because this is where it gets scary. When packages get delivered to Macy's stores, the company needs to record these costs in their financial books. It's like keeping track of your monthly expenses, but on a massive scale. This employee was deliberately entering wrong numbers to make the delivery costs appear smaller than they actually were. But here's the genius part. They weren't changing the numbers randomly. They were using a systematic approach that made the errors nearly impossible to detect through normal auditing processes. Over nearly 3 years, from quarter 4 2021 through quarter 3 2024, they managed to hide between $132 million and $154 million in delivery expenses. That's an average of $4.2 million hidden every single month for 36 months straight, and nobody noticed. Not the internal auditors, not the external auditing firm, not the CFO, not the sophisticated AI-powered accounting systems that are supposed to catch these things. But wait, it gets worse. Here's what's really terrifying about this story. According to Macy's CFO, this was not theft. The employee didn't steal this money. They weren't living lavishly or buying expensive cars. So why would someone risk their career and potential criminal charges to hide company expenses? The answer reveals a darker truth about corporate culture that every investor needs to understand. This employee likely made an initial mistake. Maybe they entered the wrong number or missed the deadline. Instead of admitting the error, they decided to cover it up. But once you start covering up one mistake, you have to keep covering up to avoid getting caught. It's like a financial house of cards. One small error snowballed into a $154 million cover-up spanning 3 years. And here's the most shocking part. Even though $154 million sounds like a massive amount, it represented less than 4% of Macy's total delivery expenses during this period. That's right. The amount was so small relative to Macy's overall operations that it flew under the radar for years. This employee exploited a blind spot that exists in virtually every major corporation. But here's what every investor watching this needs to know. If this can happen at Macy's, it can happen anywhere, and it probably is happening at companies you own stock in right now. Now, before I reveal the broader implications of this scandal and what it means for your investment strategy, I need to ask you for a small favor. If this analysis is helping you understand the hidden risks in your portfolio, hit that like button right now. It tells YouTube to share this critical information with other investors who need to see it. And if you want to stay ahead of financial scandals like this, before they become headline news, subscribe and hit the notification bell. I analyze these situations in real time so you can protect your money before the markets react. Because what I'm about to tell you next could save you thousands of dollars in potential losses. Here's what Macy's CFO confirmed in December 2024. The employee is no longer with the company. They completed an independent forensic investigation, and while the final amount settled at $151 million, the company says it won't have a material impact on their finances. But here's what they're not telling you. This scandal forced Macy's to delay their earnings announcement, which immediately sent shockwaves through the retail sector. Anytime a major company delays earnings, it's a red flag that smart investors pay attention to. The bigger question is, how many other companies have similar blind spots? How many other small errors are being covered up right now because they're not material enough to trigger auditing alarms? This incident exposed critical flaws in modern accounting systems. Despite having sophisticated software and multiple layers of oversight, a single employee with the right access could manipulate financial records for years without detection. And here's the kicker. Experts are now saying that the way modern companies handle small package delivery expenses is fundamentally flawed across the entire retail industry. What does this mean for you as an investor? 3 things. First, never assume that big companies have perfect financial controls. If Macy's, a company with billions in revenue and decades of experience, could miss $154 million in expenses, what are smaller companies missing? Second, pay attention to companies that delay earnings announcements. This is often the first sign of accounting irregularities. When Macy's delayed their Q3 report on November 25th, savvy investors immediately started asking questions. Third, look at the expense categories that are most vulnerable to manipulation. Delivery expenses, consulting fees, and other operational costs are often less scrutinized than revenue numbers. This is where future scandals are most likely to emerge. But here's the most important lesson. This employee's actions were discovered during routine preparation for an earnings report. It wasn't caught by auditors or sophisticated systems. It was found by someone who noticed the numbers didn't add up. This means human oversight and common sense analysis are still more valuable than any AI or auditing system. As an investor, you need to be that person asking the tough questions about the companies you own. The Macy's scandal is a wake-up call for every investor. It proves that even the most established companies can have massive blind spots in their financial reporting. But it also shows that these problems eventually come to light. The employee thought they could hide $154 million forever. They were wrong. And companies that think they can hide problems from investors are also wrong, because people like you are getting smarter about asking the right questions. So here's my challenge for you. Take a look at your portfolio right now. Look at the retail stocks, the companies with high delivery costs, the businesses that have delayed earnings announcements in the past year. Ask yourself, what don't I know about these companies' financial controls? What other questions do you have about this scandal? Drop them in the comments below and I'll answer every single one. And if you want to see my analysis of the next financial scandal before it breaks, because trust me, there will be a next one, subscribe for updates. The employee who hid $154 million thought nobody was watching, but you are. You're watching, you're learning, and you're becoming a smarter investor because of stories like. Thanks for watching. And remember, in the world of investing, the most expensive lesson is the one you don't learn from someone else's mistakes.